going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. Talk about some baseball scores. Orioles over the Blue Jays, 11-6. AL East is really tough. Orioles playing some great baseball. A lot of hits. Orioles has 17 hits. The Blue Jays actually had 15 hits in the game. I think they have more than 6 runs. Interesting. Rockies over the Red Sox, 7-6. 2-run double in the 10th inning. Randall Grichuk was the starting mark on that one. Yankees over the Mets, 7-6. I have a lot to say about that one. I'm going to go through the scores, and then I will give you my take on that one. Twins over the Brewers, 7-5. 2-run homer for Correa. Minnesota gets 4 in the 9th inning. Devin Williams, the Brewers closer. Giants over the Cardinals, 11-3. Really tough year continues for the St. Louis Cardinals. Angels over the Texas Rangers, 7-3. Angels got 3 runs in the 6th inning of that one, including a homer from Hunter Renfroe. Cubs over the Pirates, 11-3. Homer 4 RBI, 3.5 in that game. So a win for Jameson Taillon, who's had a tough year. He's got a 6.7 ERA this year. He's been a really rough go for him. Reds beat the Royals 5-4. Williams gets his first career win. Astros over the Nationals 6-1. 4 home runs in the game for the Houston Astros. Mariners beat the Marlins 9-3. 10 strikeouts in that game for George Kirby. Phillies over the Diamondbacks 15-3. The Athletics win again. The Athletics beat the Rays 2-1. That's 7 straight for the hapless A's, and they're not even the worst team in baseball anymore. It's now the Kansas City Royals. So all of a sudden, a little hot streak. The A's had a reverse boycott in this one. They had over 27,000 fans showed up to prove that fans weren't the problem, and they were all chanting "sell the team." So, very interesting scenario there. But A's almost won 7 in a row, up to 19-50 in the year. Still very bad, but they've won 7 in a row. They swept the Milwaukee Brewers, and now they've taken 2 from the league's best team, the Rays, so far. Padres over the Guardians, 6-3. Gary Sanchez threw at home, where they recently picked him up off waivers. On his 3rd team this year. He originally signed, he was playing for somebody, and then he got DFA'd, and the Mets scooped him up. And he only minor league deal. He was in the minors for about 2 weeks, and right before he was able to opt out, like the deadline for him if he wanted to opt out, the Mets called him up because they had a lot of interest in their catchers. They had Nido and Narvaez on the injured list. Played a couple of games, and then he was DFA'd. And then he was picked up by San Diego. Dodgers beat the White Sox 5-1. Tony Gonsolin for the good outing now. White Sox have had a tough year. 10 games under 500, and the Brewers and Tigers team got rained out. Talk about the Mets. The Mets are terrible. Max Scherzer's been absolutely terrible this year. Gives up 6 runs on 7 hits and just 3 in the 3rd. It was absolutely horrible. He needs to be better. When your team gives you a 5-1 lead, going to the 4th inning, you're getting paid $40 million a year. You got to get the job done. Absolutely pathetic. You got the Yankees lineup. I don't know some of these guys in the lineup. You got Jake Bauers hitting leadoff. They have so many injuries with Judge out. The lineup coming into this game, since without Judge's years, averaging just 3.3 runs per game. They're a below-average team without him, and they put up 7 runs. You got Anthony Volpe, who's hitting like 180, 190 this year. He had a couple hits in the game. You got, DJ LeMay, who's hitting 230 on the year, having maybe the worst year of his career, had 3 hits in the game. You got Stan, who came in not playing well. He had a couple hits in a home run in the game. It just can't happen. I'm sure it was absolutely horrible, and he needs to be better. And Brandon Nimmo, he's got to make that catch. Kudos to him for going up to the 2 pitchers who pitched in that inning, Josh Walker and Jeff Brigham, and apologizing. Definitely should have a lot mature, but he's got to make that catch that at the end of the day, that cost him the game. Wasn't the main reason they lost. The main reason was because Scherzer's pitch was absolutely pathetic. But he's got to make that catch. So many things went wrong. 8th inning, bases loaded, 1 out. Yankees go to their closer, Holmes. Lindor's up, and he strikes out. You can't strike out in that scenario. Anything. Hell, a ground ball. Yes, it could be a double play. Maybe they get the force at home. But at least gives you a chance, maybe, especially because with Lindor's speed, maybe he legs it out and gets the Mets a run, which would have tied the game. A fly ball gets a run in. anything but strike out, and he struck out. And of course, Marte struck out as well. He chased multiple pitches. Though he particularly pretty good at bat, but still, he also chased a couple of pitches. Should have walked. I don't get why Buck didn't pinch hit Vientos for Guillorme in the bottom of the ninth. That being said, there was also 2 outs and nobody on, down by a run. I got a really good reliever, Michael King. You know, I would have done that, but that's far from the worst thing that happened in that game. The Mets are absolutely terrible right now. I've lost 9 of the last 10. Absolutely pathetic. Terrible. Absolutely horrible. On to hockey. The Vegas Golden Knights defeated the Florida Panthers last night, 9-3. They are your 2023 Stanley Cup champions. Congratulations to the Vegas Golden Knights. They win their Stanley Cup in just their 6th season since being an expansion team. A hat trick from Mark Stone. Jay Eichel on 3 assists. Alec Martinez adds a goal. Big night for the Vegas Golden Knights. They win 9-3. Really good team. Jonathan Marchal wins the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP. He had an incredible postseason. He had recorded 25 points. He had like 12 or 13 goals. Think about how many games they played. They won the first round. They get 5. Then in the second round, they beat Edmonton in 6. And in the conference finals, I think that was a 5 or 6 game series. They won the cup in 5, so it's like 20 or 22 games. 21 or 22 games. 25 points. That's excellent. And yeah, like he had 12 or 13 goals. He was phenomenal. He is a great player. Florida left him unprotected in the expansion draft 6 years ago. Vegas selected him. He's one of the original Vegas Golden Knights members, and he is a phenomenal player. He had a phenomenal year and a phenomenal postseason. So many guys played great. Mark Stone, who was injured most of the season, you get him back, and he made a big impact. Jack Eichel played really well. Obviously, having him healthy this year was very, very key to their success. Brady McNabb, another original Vegas Golden Knights member, really good defenseman. And shout out Aiden Hill is a young goalie, not a ton of experience. Is never really been a full-time starter. He was the backup for most of this year. Vegas had a lot of injuries of goaltending throughout the entire season, and they had suffered another one in the postseason. He was thrown, thinking like the middle of the second round, was thrown in there, and he played really well. And it was a really big reason as to why Vegas was able to win the cup this year. Shout out to him. Bruce Cassidy did a really good job, doing with all the injuries that Vegas dealt with this year. Still, having the year he had, leading this team to the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, and all the way to the Stanley Cup. And of course, he was able to get it done. So shout out to him. Bruins should never fired him. When he got fired, everyone didn't understand why. He was in the playoffs 6 years in a row. And he was in the Cup final 1 year. It's more on the front office. And then they bring in Jim Montgomery, and he leads them to the best regular season ever. Statistically, you're like, oh, and Bruce Cassidy, gets hard by Florida, and they maybe even made the playoffs. Like, oh, looks like he, Bruins proved everyone wrong, and then Cassidy beats the Boston Bruins in the first round, comes back down 3-1, and maybe the biggest upset in NHL history. And then goes on to I'm thinking of Florida. That's my mistake, but still, he should have never been fired in Boston. That's Florida. Going back on track with Vegas. Look, Bruce Cassidy, he is fired by Boston, so he shouldn't have been fired. But then Jim Montgomery leads Boston to the President's Trophy and the most points ever in the regular season, most wins ever in the regular season. They made the right move, but then Boston loses a 3-1 lead in the first round to an 8 seed, and then Bruce Cassidy goes to the Vegas Golden Knights and was the best team in the West and wins the Stanley Cup. Well, it looks like he should have kept Bruce Cassidy. But also, great run by the Florida Panthers. Bringing Palmer was a really good idea. He stepped away from Winnipeg, I think, 2 years ago. And they brought him kind of out of mini retirement. He did a really good job. He's had a really good career. He might be a Hall of Fame coach. Taking a team, that was an 8 seed all the way to the Cup final. The incredible comeback down 3-1 to the best, on paper, the best team of all time in regular season against the Boston Bruins. Then against Toronto in the second round, the team on paper was probably better than them. Beat them in 5. He swept a really good experienced Carolina Hurricanes team in the conference finals. and then of course losing 5 games to Vegas in the Cup final. But what a run they had! You can see they definitely missed Matthew Tkachuk last night, not having him. He had a broken sternum, couldn't even need help getting out of bed and getting dressed after Game 4. He played Game 4 for broken sternum. But Golden Knights are your 2023 Stanley Cup champions. Congratulations to them. I think they're like the 4th team ever, something like that, to win a Stanley Cup within the first 6-7 years of their franchise being in existence. They're a great team. They did a great job in the expansion draft 6 years ago, and they are your 2023 Stanley Cup champions. On to basketball, I have a couple of all-season news. All-season is basically already in full swing. The draft is next week. I'm hearing Bradley Beal could be traded. Also they brought in Clippers GM Michael Winger to be there to run their organization, the Washington Wizards, and he has ownership's approval to rebuild the team completely if he wants. And if he does, he will work to trade Bradley Beal. Beal signed a 5-year, $251 million max extension just last year, and he has no trade clause, so he can pick where he goes, basically. But I'm hearing that Michael Winger and his agent have been in contact, and they're discussing possible trade options for Beal. So I think it's possible he could get traded. If I was to bet, I think it's very possible he gets traded. In fact, I think he will get moved. As to where, I'm not sure. Miami has said they want to go, star hunting. That could be a spot for him. If you put him with Jimmy Butler and Bam, does Miami have the pieces? You can build a package around Tyler Hero. Who else goes in Detroit? I don't know. Bam and Hero is probably too much to give up. I heard Brian Windhorst said today on ESPN's Get Up that the package will probably be surprisingly not, surprisingly low. They won't get as much back as you would think, just because how much money he just signed the max deal last year, and he's got no trade clause, so it might be tough, for them. They won't get like the Timberwolves, the trade for Gobert, like the Utah Jazz got back like 5 players and 4 first-round picks in that. Donovan Mitchell, when they sent him to the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Utah Jazz got back 3 or 4 first-rounders and 3 really good players. So I don't think it'll be that. It won't be like that. So we got. I'm also on Twitter Spaces right now. We got Sean J in the chat. What's up, Sean? He's been on the show before. I know Sean. He said Duncan Robinson here. I think that's a very good start. You give him here. You give him Duncan. Maybe you throw in. I'm not sure if Strus is re-signed. Could he be something that entices the Washington Wizards? Yeah, but it may only take something like Hero, Duncan, and then maybe a guy like Gabe Vincent or Kayden Martin, and maybe 2 firsts. I wouldn't, if that. You can organize even too much. I like Beal. I think he's a great player. I don't think he's number 1 though. I think he's a 2. But if you put him in a place like Miami, where he can be the second half to Jimmy Butler, I think he could really, really thrive. And that makes Miami a championship team, and they are just in the finals. I've heard of Knicks as a Knicks fan. I wouldn't mind him. He's not like the number 1 guy I want, but I would not mind him at all. My whole thing is, what are you giving up? I don't think anyone should really be untouchable, but outside of probably, obviously, Jalen Brunson. Josh Hart, they got to re-sign him. No reason to move him. Obviously, if you're going to be giving him a 4-year contract, you're not going to be trading him. I feel like there's nobody else I would say is untouchable. Like, I would like to keep Obi Toppin if we can, but if they can get a player like Damian Lillard, I'm not gonna say no. I like him in. I kind of want to keep him as well, but for Damian Lillard, I'd absolutely trade him. Quentin Grimes, same thing. I like to keep him, but if we can get a superstar player taking him to the next level, I would definitely move him. Actually, we got Sean Jarrett in the chat. He's actually going to come on the speaker and going to call in. So, Sean, how's it going?
How's it going, Jake? How you doing?
I've been good, man. How about yourself?
Doing well. Things are going well for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
But to jump in on that Bradley Bill,
Yeah.
what about Derrick Rose and Richard Robinson and a couple of draft picks back?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, Rose got a team option. I'm hearing that you're probably going to decline it, and then maybe if he can come back on a cheaper deal, maybe as like he can mentor some of the young guys. They'll look for that. Mitch, Mitch is. I don't think he fits with the Knicks. I'm not sure. I really don't want him back, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not on the team. Yeah, maybe if you give him one of these young guys like Barrett or Quickly or Grimes, and then maybe Rose and then Mitch and a couple picks. I mean, I wonder if that can get it done, because if Ryan Windhorst is saying, that the trade package may not be, as large as maybe like a Donovan Mitchell package, maybe that gets it done.
Yeah, I think that the Knicks have one of the Wizards draft picks, so they can maybe trade that draft pick back too.
Ooh. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I think they might. If they do, then yeah, that would be a good idea. Say, hey, the pick that you sent us, we'll give you that to get that pick back, and obviously you give us some other assets. That could work as well.
Yeah, and then Miami, that would be. I thought that would be a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
Because but the only thing about that is that you make nice shoes in the free agent. If they don't have nice shoes, they may not want to get rid of Duncan Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
And then that will probably kill the deal with Barry Paxton, him, Tyler Hero, and maybe a second round pick or early first round pick.
Yeah. Like the thing is, obviously you can give him Hero, you can give him Duncan, maybe Gabriel Martin, but then again, if you lose Strus and now you trade those guys outside of Jimmy, Beal, and Bam, which is a very, very scary big three, who is on your bench? You don't want to deplete your team for Bradley Beal if you don't have to.
Another thing you got to factor in that new CBA having with the fact, can Miami be able to package both, get all of them big players on max deals as well?
That's right. Yeah, so they got to be careful too. Obviously, you got Jimmy's contract. They have a bunch of contracts. They got Jimmy obviously there. Bam, they be moving Hero. And we got new rules now, kind of saying no more super teams. So they got to make sure that they can even do that. So yeah, it's a little complicated. We don't even know if he's available yet. I think he's going to be shortly. It looks like that, but they're already discussing possibly trading him, and I would not be surprised if he is moved. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he goes.
Yeah, and another team that probably nobody really mentions the Philadelphia 76ers.
That actually, I was watching Get Up this morning. I believe that was brought up. That's a interesting spot, because if they lose James Harden, they really don't have a starting shooting guard, and Beal would fit in nicely there.
Especially if James Harden decided to go back to Houston.
Yeah.
That will open up the door. They could trade Tobias Harris and maybe what's his name? Master. I think I said his name wrong, but him and Tobias Harris and maybe another piece off the bench and a couple of draft picks.
Yeah, I think that could work. You said Tobias, you give him. I'm not sure if a guy like Niang or Melton is enticing, and Philly can probably there's probably somebody else Philly can give him, and then like you said, the draft picks that might get it done too. You have Embiid with Beal. That's a nice duo.
Yeah, it is a nice duo.
I think Beal's probably a better fit than James Harden, to be honest. So if Harden leaves, that might not be a bad idea. And you have Tyrese Maxey running the point. That's a pretty good looking squad. What their depth looks like is another story. It may still be an issue, but Philly hypothetically can try and work on that. But at the very least, having Embiid with Beal and plus you have Tyrese Maxey, that's a good little squad.
And you got to factor in that right before last season offseason, there was rumors that Bradley Beal could be traded to the 76ers.
Yeah, there was definitely rumors. He's been rumored to a couple of teams. That was definitely maybe the most prevalent. Bradley Beal going to Philly. That was definitely out there.
I think that will probably be the closest one I can see happening. Is that trade right there?
Yeah, I would. The top two are probably Philly and Miami. Those are probably the top two destinations. If you're Bradley Beal, like I mentioned right before you called in, I feel like he would be like as a number one. He's good, but you could do better. But as a number two, you really can't get any better than that. So if he can go to Philly and he's like a clear cut number two up to Joel Embiid, I think that'll be a really good situation for him.
As a number two guy, and Tyrese Maxey running the points, taking up everything. It gets him more open shots. He can come off the shot and get the off the pick of off the screen and get a wide open jump shot. And he's a good jump shot shooter, shooting guard.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll work both ways. I think the whole point when they made the trade for Harden, they were hoping that having a guy who could score as well as Harden can, at least when they trade for him, they thought it would open up more looks for Embiid, but it didn't really work because Harden hasn't really been able to score the way he did when he was in Houston. But if you bring in Beal, now what they thought was going to happen when they brought Harden in was, I think they could happen when for Embiid when you bring in Beal, and like you said, it could work the other way around too. They're going to now be worrying about Embiid. Now Beal's going to get open shots all the time as well.
Right, and then so that also opens up Tyrese Maxey because Beal get down to the basket, and the ball won't stop in one position. Bradley Beal also can move the ball and keep the ball flowing, and ball rotation keeps going, and that makes it better for the team. It being better than it was when James Harden was playing shooting guard for the Sixers.
Yeah, he's not the best fit there. If you had Harden you had in Houston, you put him in Philly, him and Embiid, that would be unstoppable. But just the guy now, who at this point in his career, he's like a 20 points, 10, 11 assists guy. It just really doesn't fit with what they do there. But now you bring in Bradley Beal, you swap him with Beal, who's a bona fide number two option, a really guy who can really score and really shoot the basketball. I think that would work much better for the 76ers.
I think so too.
Yeah, and something else, another trade rumor I heard the Pelicans are looking to move up in the draft to try maybe draft Scoot Henderson. So trying to assumingly move into the top three. I heard they would be willing to move Zion Williamson.
Yeah, I think it's about that time to move on from Zion Williamson. He has not been able to and that really and then now he's having off the court issues. I just think it's time to move on.
Yeah, at this point, look, when he came out of Duke, people were comparing him. The comparisons were crazy. They were like, he's a one of one. And when he's been on the court, he's been phenomenal. He's averaged, his career average when he's been out there is like 25 points a game, 26 points a game, which is an incredible mark, but he's never out there. He's not out there enough. He's just, he seems like he's not all in. And like you said, I don't even know what's going on with him. Apparently he's with all these different women. It's really not a very good look. So it might just be, I think you're right, Sean. It might be time.
Yeah, and some breaking news that came across the wire. I watched ESPN. The Rams are looking to restructure Cooper Cup's deal. So they're going to give back $10.4 million in cap space. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, the Rams, obviously, they're in a cap crunch. They kind of broke up a lot of their team. You trade Ramsey away, you trade Allen Robinson away, you cut Bobby Wagner as well as Leonard Floyd. Partly because the team's getting older. The year they just had, they don't have any picks really. So, but yeah, to that and Cooper Kupp, people forget because he was injured last year. But the year prior, he had a spectacular season and one of the best year the receivers ever had. And if he can do that again, the Rams could be vastly improved, even though they lost a bunch of guys.
Yeah, that could definitely be a big improvement for them, especially if they can get that 10.1 $2.4 million back in cap space. That would be a good look because they can try to get player with the veteran minimum.
Yeah, maybe they can use that to bring in somebody else. They have a couple of areas that are of need still, even this close to the regular season, is because they lost a bunch of guys because they moved on from them because they were so much in cap hell, and they need to be up spending on other areas. So maybe they can bring in, whether maybe if you can find a way to bring back Bobby Wagner on a cheaper deal or something like that, or maybe another offensive lineman or a corner or something. That could be something maybe they put that money towards.
Yeah, definitely some probably a player that can be brought in, probably that's not going to eat it too much at the cap. That's kind of a cap-friendly contract, maybe. Try to bring men with the veteran minimum.
Yeah, that'll be something that the Rams will be looking for. Even with that money, they still aren't too flush in cap space. I don't even know if they're even. They may even still be over the cap. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think that'll definitely help them at least. Free up maybe enough space to get a guy on like a cheap deal like that could possibly help them. Maybe they bring in a guy like a whole thing like, if he works, great, it's a complete bargain. If not, it's a cheap 1 year deal. They can move on after a year.
Yeah, and I'm sure that any team would love that cap friendly deal if they even try to make a trade, for it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Speaking of future contracts, DeAndre Hopkins remains a free agent. He's visiting his 2-day visit with the Patriots starts today, and apparently there's a possibility he could sign with them.
Yeah, that would be a great sign for the
Patriots. Yeah, for sure.
Whereas Belichick knows how to use wide receivers like that, and DeAndre Hopkins still has a lot of tools. Although he was injured last season, he got kind of a late start. He's still one of them good receivers that you can count on, like in crunch time situations.
Yeah, they're the couple of guys you added. Juju, you added Gesicki at tight end. They're obviously trying to give Mac Jones some help, but that would really open up the offense for them. That gives him a true number one option. D-Hop's a little bit older, but he is still a number one receiver in my eyes, and I think that would really open up the offense for them.
Yeah, it would open up a lot of offense for them. Also, you got to factor in that they bring in Juju who just won the championship with the Tennessee Chiefs.
Absolutely.
So that brings that veteran experience. So you got Juju on one side, you got Mike Gesicki in the middle, playing the tight end. You got possibly DeAndre Hopkins on the outside. That opens up so many gates for the running backs who can come like out of the backfield. Because what team's going to play? They can't play man-to-man because if they try to play man-to-man,
they're killed. Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, it's like that creates a lot of mental problem. Like you said, if you play man-to-man, D-Hop is going to torture you. If you play zone, right, you're less susceptible to maybe get beat one-on-one by Hopkins or even Juju for that matter. But now. Yeah, you'd be run up the middle. They can go over the middle to Gesicki, and there's just so many ways that they could beat you. That if he's not there, you're not that scared of the guys there. But now you add D-Hop, it just really opens up things for them.
Definitely, and I feel that that's going to be a big pickup. I don't think he's going to get out of New England without getting a deal done. I think that's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, if Bill likes what he sees and he wants to bring him in, I'm with you there. I don't see how he leaves Massachusetts without a contract. At least a contract offer. Then maybe he'll say, all right, let me think about it. I'll get back to you in a couple of days. I don't know if he wants to see if he calls with Titans. We also looked at him like, all right, I got an offer. If you beat it, either beat it or I'm not coming. But yeah, he'll at least have an offer. I would think by at least the end of the day tomorrow. I don't see him. He won't leave without a contract offer. Doesn't unless they don't really don't like what they say. But for a guy like Hopkins, there's nothing not to like really. No,
Right.
on the field.
I mean, it would literally take a lot for that deal not to get done.
Yeah, the only really blockade right now is obviously Bill O'Brien's new offensive coordinator there. When he was head coach in Houston, Hopkins was there. They obviously clashed. They were never really on the same page. I don't think they necessarily hate each other. I just think they just had different views of what the offense should be. So I don't know. I've heard they're on better terms now. I know Hopkins said when he left there, went to Arizona, that he really never had a relationship with him. But he also said that he didn't really have a problem with O'Brien. But can they? It's one of those things like, all right, if he sees him on the street, he might wave to him, say hi, talk to him for a couple of minutes, and they go separate ways. But can they coexist, on the same team?
You know what? I think that can work out because remember, Belichick is a key factor for all that. And I know that probably was bad turns on when it was in Houston. And it just a receiver being competitive, and he may see something different, and he's faced the coach, and the coach may not relate it. He may want to go a different direction, and it's just not see eye because of the competitiveness of the situation.
Yeah, I really think what it was, they just what O'Brien's view of what he thought the offense looked like wasn't D Hops, and they clashed there. O'Brien's one of those guys who I do think it was a good offensive coordinator. I think that was a good move by the Patriots to bring him in. They get Matt Patricia the heck out of there. But as a head coach, just he clashed with a couple of guys in Houston. He clashed with DeAndre Hopkins. He clashed with J.J. Watt. He clashed with Deshaun Watson. But I think maybe as just running the offense, especially since with you got a guy like Belichick there as the head coach, I don't really think that will be an issue. So they could, unless O'Brien's like, I can't work with the guy, or D Hop's like, I'm not willing to work with him again. Then yeah, they could probably put the difference aside and just they'll be able to bring him in, and he'll be able to contribute without really any issues.
Yeah, I feel that will probably be one of the biggest things. I really think that they actually get that deal done, and I think they're going to be able to make a fit between them two.
Yeah, it's not like O'Brien is the head coach; he's the offensive coordinator, so that also helps.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
Yeah, there's actually a couple of holdouts going on with training camp underway. Buda Baker, he showed up to mini camp, but he's not practicing. He requested a trade a while back, the all-pro safety in Arizona.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them out. I talked about a bunch yesterday. Daniel Hunter and the Vikings, Saquon Barkley with the Giants. There's a bunch going on, Holdout season is upon us for sure.
Yeah, and the biggest holdout I think is the deal with Saquon Barkley right now.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
Because I think they should go ahead and pay him, and they have a good chance of making a good run this year.
Mm-hmm.
With the addition of Darren Waller. On that team, I think that could be a big piece for them, and it could open up a lot for Saquon in that Giants offense.
Definitely, yes. And also, you draft a guy in Jalen High who's got lightning quick speed, so now defense has got to be worried about being beat over the top by Hyde. You got to be worried about Ward down the seams. You got to worry about Saquon out of the backfield. That makes the Giants offense, not more dangerous.
Yeah, it makes it very dangerous. But I think Buda Baker is another one that's got to play that. He plays a big role in that Cardinals defense.
Yeah.
They need Buda Baker back. And on the field, he is one of the players that should get a deal done quicker than earlier, or either trade him or get a deal done. We'll break it out where they can figure out a way to get him on the field, because that team is going to suffer without Buda Baker in that secondary.
Yeah, Arizona's a team. They had a rough offseason, lost some pieces. They're obviously not a very good team. They're very young. They're rebuilding. And there's already not a lot of veteran pieces on that defense. Losing him makes them that much worse. but he requested a trade, so clearly there was some sort of frustration. And clearly there still is if he's there but not practicing. Basically, maybe he's just I don't know if he's just there just to show that he's not holding out. Maybe he doesn't want. I mean, if you don't show up, you do lose money every day. Maybe he doesn't want to be doxed the money, so he's just like, all right, I'm here, but I'm not going to practice. So he doesn't want to get himself hurt. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I can't imagine Arizona wants to lose him, but if they don't really have a choice, he's a guy they can get something back for.
Yeah. And then we also got to talk about Stephon Diggs.
Absolutely, yes. He did report today, but something's going on there.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting sort of watch. He seemed like he was unhappy last season.
Yeah.
At the end of the season in the playoffs versus the Bengals, not receiving the ball as much.
Yeah.
But they pretty much locked him down. But it's good to see him back in the training camp, and maybe they make a nice little run. I mean, he's scheduled to make $24.4 million this year. Second among the wide receivers.
Yeah, that one's a weird holdout because there was nothing I could pinpoint to be like, almost he really doesn't want to be there because I mean, like he said, he's financially doing fine. He got a contract last year. There's we can suspect maybe he's clashing with somebody, whether it's Josh Allen, whether it's the coaching staff, but there was nothing that was really out there in the open. Obviously, we all saw the clip of him appearing to be frustrated with Josh Allen not getting the ball in that playoff loss when they really played a really bad game and lost to the Bengals in that second round playoff game. And then a couple of days later, he was on social media voicing his frustration. And now all of a sudden, fast forward to training camp, and he doesn't show up the first day. Sean McDermott, their head coach, said he was very concerned. And Josh Allen came out and said, that they're working through some non-football issues. Obviously, that's very vague. And now he's back. But it'll be interesting to see, because if the Bills are going to make a run and get past Mahomes and Burrow this year and possibly go to the Super Bowl, they can't have issues from last year, boil over into this year. They gotta let bygones be bygones. Shake hands and move on. And also the Bills need Diggs. He's the vocal point of their offense.
Yeah, definitely a vocal point of their offense. And they really need him on the field to work out with the team and just get ready for the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely need him out there, and that's probably why Sean McDermott was concerned. He's not holding out for a contract. I guess to this point he hasn't voiced any displeasure with anybody, whether it's the quarterback or the coach or anything. So I don't know. I mean, going into last year, we thought it looked like Josh Allen and Diggs were very close friends, but clearly, he didn't like how things went down in that playoff loss. And I don't know if he's still bitter about it. Is it one of the coaches, where if the offensive coordinator or the head coach he isn't happy with? But yeah, something's definitely going on. But he is there. He reported today, and like the agent said, looks like he'll be there the entire mini camp. But we'll see what happens. Well, that'll be a story that we'll have to follow as the season goes on.
And that's something to keep an eye out on as far as story-wise heading into the season. Heading into training camp, that's going to be a story to watch for because who knows what could be happening in Buffalo right now as far as this team.
Yeah, there's some lot of stuff going on. They've not been the last couple of years. They've been very good. They've been able to win the AFC East, but they have not quite been able to get over the hump. They've lost to the Chiefs or the Bengals 3 years in a row. There's a lot of people that have doubts that they can get past Mahomes and Burrow, and if they're going to do that, they need Diggs.
Yeah, they definitely need Diggs. They need for the whole team step this year as far as scoring wise, and whatever elements is going on with Josh with the quarterback. It needs to be solved now.
Oh, yeah.
In training camp.
Yeah, that is what training camp's for. working out all the kinks. Anybody's got an issue, whether it's a personal issue or a contract issue, this is the time to resolve it. That being said, the season starts in 3 months, and so they definitely gotta get this figured out.
Almost 2 months, 2.5 months.
Yeah, so even closer than that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's getting close to it. So definitely, let's be getting into training camp and then heading into preseason. They got to get on the same page early.
Absolutely. All right, that's where all I have to get today, Sean. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hop on the mic. It was a lot of fun today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.